Ladies and mostly gentlemen, today we're going to talk about mounts. More specifically, brand new mounts that will be coming to the game in the new WoW expansion, Battle for Azeroth. Right, before we begin, let's do a quick check to see if Belilar has made a video on this. Okay, good. It looks like we're in the clear. So hopefully he doesn't upload one by the time this finishes. That man's a machine. So unlike my other videos, you won't be seeing me running around in game on these shiny new mounts. As I said in my previous video, I don't have access to the test servers yet. The current rumoured time frame for them is looking like the beginning of 2018. So make sure you smash that subscribe button, as I'll be data mining every crack of that beta to see what's inside. You're not going to want to miss that. So what we'll be doing in this video is showing you snippets of confirmed and potential mounts from all the clips that I could gather through the BlizzCon previews. They actually showed off quite a few, and some of them are just going to be amazing. So let's take a look at the many new mounts of Battle for Azeroth so far. So let's start off the list by looking at the confirmed mounts of the expansion. So first, we're going to look at the most obvious from the main feature trailer, and that is this beautiful Parrot Mount. Right, so this little birdie was featured in the trailer when it said about new dungeons and raids. Now on closer inspection and with just a little bit of simple research, this parrot will be featured in the Alliance leveling dungeon in Tiragar Sound called Freehold. The specific Parrot Mount they showed is actually called Sharkbait, and its owner is the first boss of the dungeon, an orc called Skycap'n Crag. This isn't actually his first appearance in the Warcraft universe, as he actually started his life as an original Hearthstone character, and his card image is pretty darn amazing if I'm honest. Something to note as well is that this parrot uses the same skeleton as the Rogue class mount, which also borrows its skeleton from the Solar Spirehawk, if we're going to get technical. As for the source of this mount, in all honesty, I'd be more than happy if this mount was a small drop chance from dropping from Skycap'n Crag, similar to the blue Proto Drake from Skadi the Ruthless in Utgard Pinnacle from Wrath, as we haven't actually had a rare mount drop from a dungeon since Cataclysm, and that was 7 years ago now. So next up, we're going to look at this mount here. So in the gameplay videos, the dev actually refers to this mount as the Beetle Mount, so let's just roll with that name for now. So this beetle appeared a few times over BlizzCon weekend in a couple of videos, once in the feature trailer and another in the video preview for the Zandalari zone Vol'dun. They were also in the BlizzCon demo for the zone Nazmir. So this mount was ridden by the Snake Men, the Setharak. You can also see a non-mounted version of this creature in the preview for Vol'dun again. From what I can tell, it doesn't actually borrow any skeleton from any existing mounts. It's also got 6 legs, which makes for an interesting dynamic for a mount. As for the source of this mount, your guess is as good as mine. I'd probably imagine this would be some sort of rep reward, depending if there are some Setharak which we ally with. I could also imagine this mount coming in all sorts of colour combinations as well, which is quite exciting to think about. The next mount we're going to look at is simply named a Blood Beast by a few people in various BlizzCon panels. These guys are normally quite small when they're just killable creatures. It seems the mountable versions look comparable to the size of a mammoth mount. The only appearance of this mount was very briefly in the features overview for the expansion, with a new blood troll riding on them. It was confirmed in the art panel that the blood trolls would use these guys as one of their racial mounts. As for the source of this, I would again assume that it would be some sort of reputation reward, as you'd imagine it's far too early to speculate that, considering the only footage we've seen was probably less than 3 seconds long. So our penultimate confirmed mount is the Frog Lower Mount. If you didn't know, a lower is basically a troll god. I didn't know that, I just heard him say it, so now I'm saying it. This was confirmed by Alex Asfarabi at BlizzCon to be a mount of sorts, saying,
And Kragwa, the Frog Lower, who you'll definitely want to know if you want that sweet frog mount. I know you do. I know you do.
So this is actually the one image we have of this mount. If it actually just hops around while you're mounted on it, it's truly going to be something. And I'll be a massive fan if it actually had some increased swim speed on that as well. The source of this mount seems to be either a quest chain or reputation, unless you have to kill the frog lower to obtain it, but that's really twisting his words to get that conclusion. So our final confirmed mount is a pretty awesome one that nobody really picked up on, and I wouldn't blame him. It wasn't really on screen for very long, and it was only ever shown once. I'm talking of course about the skeleton-faced Devilsaur mount. This actually marks the first time we'll have a Devilsaur as a mount, which is surprising since the model's obviously been in the game since launch. As you can tell though, this one is about the size of a regular raptor mount, but judging by the walking animation, it is indeed using the Devilsaur model, just shrunk down. As for its source, it would be cool to have these guys as maybe a racial mount for the Zandalari trolls. I've got a feeling this mount is aimed more towards blood trolls than Zandalari, so it's more than likely going to be a rep reward or rare drop. Okay, so that's all the confirmed mounts from the BlizzCon footage. So now let's talk about other creatures that were in the trailers that may or may not become mounts at some point during this expansion. So if you watched any of the BlizzCon videos, you probably would have noticed the amount of Pterodactyls around the place. In WoW, these are called Sky Screamers or Terror Wings, and they're a staple of Zandalari trolls. In fact, we'll be meeting a Sky Screamer lower called Paku in the next expansion. So these creatures have been in the game since vanilla, but got a model upgrade in Mists with the introduction of the Isle of Giants. In fact, they even made a mount out of them, which is the Reigns of the Armoured Sky Screamer, which is a reward from from Glory of the Thundering Raider achievement. So that mount is blue, but there are actually 6 other colour variants of this mount in the game files right now, so it wouldn't be much of a stretch for Blizzard to include the extra colours in this expansion at some point. So next up is this bone creature. I'm a big fan of the new Kultiran aesthetics, this sort of like wicker beast from the woods. I personally think this would make a nice mount, but on closer inspection this model actually uses the same skeleton as your regular boars that you'd just see around Azeroth. So if they were to make this a mount, chances are they'd probably have to make a new model similar to the boar mount from Warlords. So never say never for the bone creature mount, I certainly would like to ride it. So this next creature is pretty unlikely. On paper, it seems like a good idea, but I don't think it'd be right in practice. I'm talking of course about the Proto Saw, which is obviously just a Brachiosaurus. This mount actually got a massive cheer when it was first shown on the BlizzCon stage, and for a good reason. It's an extremely unique model and it's huge. It popped up a couple times during BlizzCon on the What's Next panel and in the art panel, where they actually addressed whether or not it could be a mount or not.
So we got this huge Proto Saw. We get to see lumbering in the wilderness and also used as beasts of burden. If they're going to be mounts, I don't know. Oh, there he is. And just to show you how big it is, Protosaur, Devilsaur, and you. Also not in a safe place.
If you didn't notice, there's actually someone riding on one in most of the footage. It's this little blur on its head here. I think the most we'll be getting out of riding this mount will probably be during some sort of quest. I just think it's too big to be a practical mount. The mammoths are annoying enough as it is for their size. Our next potential mount is this Mohawk Hippo creature here. So back in WoD, we actually got a hippo-like creature in the form of river beasts. So I wonder if they'll use the same skeleton or will be mountable. From the looks of them, it looks like they'd be a perfect fit for a mount in WoW. I think we have a pretty high chance of seeing this model as a mount at some point of the expansion. I could also see their babies making great companion pets as well. So this next one is a bit of a long shot. During a preview of the zone Vol'dun, we saw a pack of hyenas sporting a new updated model. Hyenas have been in the game since launch, so I'm considering this a bit of a long shot due to the fact that they haven't done this sooner. I also think they might be a little bit too scrawny to be used as a mount, but I gotta admit, it would be cool. I'm sure there's a ton of people that have wanted to ride on one of these since we first saw them in the game way back when. So during the art panel, they showed off this new model for a corrupted bat lower. I instantly recognised the standing pose to be exactly the same as the winged Fellhound mounts from patch 7.3. But while double checking the model in Model Viewer, I actually found a model for something called a Fell Bat mount in the game files. It is actually a reskin of the Demon Hunter mount and the Argus Fellhounds, but I think it's a really cool model. It would only take a few amount of tweaks to turn them into the Zandalari Bat mount, and I'm 100% for this becoming a mount in some capacity. And finally, this lizard monster. I'm really clutching at straws now, and I'm just finding random creatures in the videos to make into mounts, but come on, he's super awesome. And also probably just a reskin of a Warp Stalker, which is another creature we never had the pleasure of riding. There is actually one final thing I want to mention in this video, and that is the fact that it looks like our precious human horse mounts are finally getting a HD facelift. They look great as well, much like the other HD model upgrades we've been getting over these last couple years. So that's about it for this video guys. Let me know down in the comments which mount you're most hyped for, and if I missed any from any of the trailers. As a filthy casual, I get super hyped about things like mounts, pets and transmog, so I can't wait to get started on working towards some of these awesome mounts. So before I go, I'd like to give a massive shout out to my amazing patrons and YouTube sponsors. You guys are amazing, and if you'd like to support the channel in that way, links are down below. So leave a like on this video guys if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't. And with that, I'll see you next time.